For nearly 20 years, from the late 1960s into the 1980s, there was a giant on America's highways. The GMC PD4107, known simply as the Buffalo, with its high-deck stance, sweeping panoramic glass, chrome flashing in the sun, and an elevated cabin that gave every passenger a view. It was more than a bus. It was a moving landmark, a machine you could spot from miles away. But behind that bold, modern face was a deeper story, one of ambition, of fierce competition, and of a changing America. A coach built to carry Greyhound and Trailways into a new era, yet born in a time when intercity travel itself was being redefined. Powerful, comfortable, commanding, and still, facing the very challenges that would one day push it off the main stage. So why did GMC create the Buffalo? How did it earn its place among the most remembered highway coaches of its generation? And why, decades after its last run, does its image still linger in the minds of those who knew it? Let's climb aboard and take that journey. By the late 1960s, the American highway was changing fast. The interstate highway system, once just lines on a map, now stretched from coast to coast. 4 lanes of smooth concrete invited buses to go farther, faster, and passengers expected nothing less. Greyhound's proud scenic cruiser, the star of the 1950s, was showing its age. The PD4106, strong as it was, no longer matched the image of a modern, confident America. Travelers wanted more speed, more comfort, more of that feeling that their journey was part of something big, and competition was fierce. Airlines were offering cheap seats to cities that once took a full day's ride. Private cars were faster, more comfortable, and more affordable than ever before. To survive, intercity bus travel needed a fresh face and a bold new heart. GMC saw the challenge as an opportunity. They didn't just want to build another coach. They wanted a symbol, something that would stand tall on the highway, shine under the sun, and make people turn their heads even before it rolled into the station. It had to be instantly recognizable from a mile away. It had to tell passengers, before they even stepped aboard, that this was the future of travel. That vision would soon take shape in steel, glass, and chrome. And the world would know it by a single name: Buffalo. From the first glance, the Buffalo didn't just arrive, it announced itself. Its high-deck design lifted the entire passenger cabin above the roadway, creating a cavern of luggage space beneath. It gave the bus a stance that was tall, commanding, almost regal. Running along its sides, a ribbon of curved panoramic glass stretched from front to back. Panels so seamlessly joined, they looked like a single band of polished crystal. Inside, those windows promised passengers an unbroken sweep of America's landscapes, from the first mile to the last. Polished chrome trim traced the body's strong lines, catching the sun like a flash of silver as it rolled past. The proud Greyhound or Trailways emblem ran boldly along the flank, so there was never any doubt which company you were riding with. The front was short, squared off, and muscular, a face that matched the Buffalo nickname it quickly earned. It wasn't just a bus body, it was a statement of strength. And unlike the older, boxier designs, the Buffalo's shape was sleeker, more aerodynamic. At highway speeds, it cut through the wind with less noise and more grace, letting that deep diesel growl be the only soundtrack to the miles ahead. Step inside the Buffalo, and the first thing you notice is the height. The high-deck design didn't just make the exterior look impressive. It gave passengers a commanding view of the world outside. Seats were arranged with generous spacing, upholstered in durable fabric or long-wearing vinyl, and reclined deep enough to make even a cross-country ride feel relaxed. The windows, set high, level with the shoulders, framed the passing scenery like moving postcards. From the front rows, you could watch the highway unwind beneath the horizon. From the back, You could see sunlight chasing the curves of the road ahead. Above, overhead, racks held coats and carry-ons within easy reach. Small reading lights glowed softly at night, letting you lose yourself in a book without disturbing the person beside you. A modernized air conditioning system kept the cabin evenly cool. No more hot spots in the back or chilly blasts in the front. And at the rear, tucked neatly away, a clean and functional restroom made long hauls far more civilized. Everything inside the Buffalo was chosen for strength, simplicity, and the kind of clean, bright look that made each journey feel fresh from the start. Beneath the Buffalo's tall frame, at the very rear, lay its beating heart, the Detroit Diesel 8V71, a two-stroke V8 mounted sideways, pushing out around 318 horsepower. It wasn't just about numbers. It was about the way it delivered them. For drivers, the Spicer 4-speed manual, unsynchronized and demanding skill, offered a raw, mechanical connection to the road. For those who preferred ease, the Allison automatic made long hauls smoother, especially through city stops and slow climbs. This engine had torque in spades, pulling the Buffalo up long grades without breaking stride. On the open highway, it cruised faster and steadier than the models it replaced. And always, there was that sound. A deep, throaty growl, unique to Detroit Diesel's two-stroke design, a sound you felt in your chest as much as you heard with your ears. Paired with air suspension, the Buffalo floated across miles of asphalt with surprising grace. Passengers could sip coffee, read the paper, or simply watch the horizon, barely noticing the rough patches beneath the wheels. It was power, endurance, and comfort, all working in unison to carry America further, mile after mile. From the mid-1960s into the late 70s, the Buffalo wasn't just another coach on the highway, it was the coach. Greyhound and Trailways rolled them out in force, and soon they became a common sight from coast to coast. In advertisements, glossy brochures, and even souvenir postcards, the Buffalo's high-deck silhouette became a symbol of the great American road trip. Tourists in small towns would glance up from their coffee cups as one rumbled through Main Street, its chrome catching the morning light, its panoramic windows filled with faces from every walk of life. Drivers loved the Buffalo for its power and stability, whether threading through mountain passes or stretching its legs on the open plains. Passengers loved it for the ride. Smooth, quiet, and with a view that turned even a routine trip into a moving panorama. These coaches tackled the longest hauls in the nation: New York to Los Angeles, Chicago to Miami, Seattle to Dallas. Each trip was more than transportation. It was a rolling chapter in someone's story. And for over a decade, the Buffalo reigned as the undisputed king of the interstate, a symbol of an era when the journey itself was as important as the destination. But even kings of the highway can't outrun reality forever. For all its power and presence, the Buffalo had an appetite, a big one. On long runs, especially with a full load, it drank diesel at a rate that made accountants wince. Its size, the very thing that gave it stature, could be a handicap. In older bus terminals, tight turns and low clearances made maneuvering a challenge. Some depots simply couldn't accommodate its height and length without careful planning, or a few extra inches of luck. Maintenance was another burden. With a complex air suspension, a big two-stroke V8, and specialized parts, upkeep wasn't cheap. Operators loved the performance, but they paid for it in the shop. And then, the world began to change. Low-cost airlines started offering fares that made a cross-country bus trip look less appealing. More Americans were buying their own cars, choosing the freedom of the open road on their own schedule. Passenger numbers began to slide, and the Buffalo, once a proud flagship, started to feel the headwinds. It was a reminder that even the most iconic machines must adapt, or risk being left behind. By the late 1970s, the writing was on the wall. Operating costs kept climbing, and passenger counts kept falling. For companies like Greyhound and Trailways, every empty seat meant lost dollars, and the Buffalo's once proud silhouette was now a costly asset. The 1980s brought a new generation of coaches, sleeker, lighter, and far more fuel-efficient. Models like the MCI MC9 and the gleaming Prevosts promised modern comforts, lower operating costs, and an image that fit the changing travel market. Against them, the Buffalo, for all its charm, began to look like yesterday's news. Fleet managers made tough calls. Many 4107 were retired early, sold at auction for a fraction of their original cost. Some found a second life overseas, shipped to South America or Asia to run rural routes. Others were stripped for parts, their once proud chrome and glass ending up in scrap yards. For those who loved them, it was a painful sight, watching a machine that had once ruled the open highway quietly fade from service. And yet, for all the miles they'd traveled and the people they'd carried, the Buffalo left behind something that couldn't be measured in fuel costs or ticket sales: memories. But the Buffalo's story didn't end when the last one rolled out of service. For some, the 4107 wasn't just an old bus, it was a piece of American highway history worth saving. Enthusiasts, collectors, and even former drivers began tracking them down, pulling them from fields, barns, and forgotten depots. Many were restored to their original glory, right down to the polished chrome and the proud Greyhound or Trailways livery. Others were reborn as luxury motorhomes, their spacious high-deck interiors transformed into rolling apartments with every comfort imaginable. Today, you can still spot a Buffalo at vintage bus rallies, classic vehicle shows, and transportation museums. For those who remember the golden age of long-distance bus travel, seeing that distinctive profile is like stepping back in time. Among collectors, the PD4107 is often praised as one of the finest examples of American bus design from the 1960s and 70s, a perfect blend of engineering strength and visual presence. And for the passengers who once gazed out through those sweeping windows, it remains more than just a bus. It's a reminder of a time when travel wasn't just about getting somewhere, it was about the journey itself. But even as the years have passed and America's highways have changed, the Buffalo PD4107 lives on in memory, a symbol of power, comfort, and the golden age of long-distance travel. Today, only a handful remain. But if you ever sat behind those tall panoramic windows or heard the deep rolling growl of a Detroit diesel echoing down the interstate, chances are you still remember, and you'll never forget. How about you? Have you ever ridden on a Buffalo or seen one up close? Do you have a story or a memory to share? Tell us in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, share this video, and subscribe so you won't miss the next journey into America's greatest transportation legends.